We couldn't hold an event about tackling a patient engagement challenge without addressing the elephant in the room. Now, this is the biggest challenge we've faced arguably in a generation. This is the whole reason we're holding this conference remotely, the coronavirus pandemic. We speak to people all the time about how their physical and mental health and COVID-19 has impacted all of us, but some of us are more vulnerable than others. Becoming and staying engaged with a chronic health condition is tough at the best of times. Right now, it might feel impossible for many patients. So in this next session, we're going to be talking about engaging with chronic conditions like type 2 diabetes in a pandemic. And we're going to be hearing this directly from a patient who's been striving to do exactly that. In the work we do, we're behind the camera or behind the edit most of the time, but it's always an honour and a privilege to be a part of people's lives and to be so close to their health journey. And for the past 4 months, Fixing Us have been following very closely the journey of 59-year-old John Neary from Enfield in Essex, to see firsthand the real-life challenges of staying focused and engaged, and to really take ownership of our health in the most difficult of times. To give you the best feel for this, let's have a look at the first part of 3 in John's story.
My name's John Neary. I'm 59 years of age, born in 1961 and was born in Hackney, East London. I've been married to my wife now for 30 good years. I like to look at life in a good way, a fun sort of way. When things are down, I tend to try and bring people up. I've got 3 beautiful girls and they're fit and very healthy, which is all that counts really.
Some of the best memories I had with Dad would probably revolve around holidays. I think just having fun.
Unfortunately, sometimes in life things don't go as you would like them to. My wife came up, I was in bed because I wasn't feeling well, and she said, the hospital's on the phone for you. So I was speaking to this guy from the hospital, and the words he said was, don't panic, but your results have come back. Your cholesterol is showing 15.5 and your blood sugar levels are off the screen. We've had my trials and tribulations throughout life, but I think there's a lot of people who've had a lot worse than me. I've always worked. I think in life you have to work for it. You have to work for what you get. And I think you need an element of luck along the way as well. I wasn't aware how badly this illness eats away at your vital organs inside, especially like kidneys and your pancreas and your legs. The more I'm starting to learn about it, the more I'm starting to be aware of what it can affect. I haven't cycled to work for a week and a half now, and it's quite interesting that my sugar levels have rose since I stopped that. My sugar levels increase with stress, very much so. I do try and reduce it. I get very good help at home.
On the train, just pulling into Liverpool Street.
Are you still filming?
Yes.
Right, I'm taking it now, my blood now. 7.6 is my reading, which is good. Tennis I started a couple of weeks ago, and I've been going for some runs.
It would be nice for him to maybe decrease his medication.
The first one I take would be an aspirin, bisoprol, my insulin, my metformin, albufuranol, losartan. There's losartan.
I've only been on the insulin since Christmas Eve, which is when I got brought into hospital this year. I still relapse sometimes in my food and diet where I do like a chocolate. I have got a sweet tooth and I've got a savoury tooth, unfortunately. I've got both of them.
If he carries on the way he is, it's going to be difficult for him to maintain a lifestyle that is going to keep him around for long enough, really.
So this is my prick test, which I would do now before my midday meal. It's 8.5, so I would accept that. I don't know what I react to in the line of what food affects it as much, you know. What I've had today is 2 slices of granary toast with a bit of peanut butter. That was eaten at about 9 o'clock.
Currently at Enfield Town Station on my way to work, either bike or train, depending.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform.
We want to help him feel fit and healthy in himself as he's getting older, so that he can enjoy that next stage in life.
This one?
Click on campaigning.
Cool, you were showing Tom's one, did you?
If he was fit and healthy, it would mean that we wouldn't have to worry. He's getting older, we're getting older. Hopefully, in the future, there'll be positive things to come for us.
If you don't feel pain, it's very easy to ignore. It's all about getting to understand it. The only way that people will take that in is by hearing and being able to contact people and speaking to people that have gone through it.
It's got to a point now where I've been told it's affecting other things as well, so I've either got to step up to the mark to make sure that I don't snack anything anymore. My level's now gone up an hour and a half after eating the vegetables and salmon and spices to 10.4.
I think the main thing for us as a family is just to keep on top of him. We need to support him when he's having good days and try not to nag, I guess.
So that was John's journey, part 1, and you'll see there that John's journey will continue with parts 2 and 3, which will come along soon. So John, a big part of what you've been doing is learning about your diabetes in terms of, you know, which foods and lifestyle factors, stress, sleep, all those sorts of things affect your blood sugar. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about what's been happening over the last few months?
Well, over the last few months, as you said, my blood sugar levels were going all very high, and they was a bit out of control, or sometimes a lot out of control. And obviously, I identified with the fact that it's certain foods that would trigger my blood sugar levels that were going high. So, in the process of the last few months, I've sort of decided to eat my meals, but then take my blood sugar readings before and after at certain times, and trying to eliminate and prove certain foods were the root of the cause that were making my sugar levels peak. And I've done that through quite a lot of time now, where I've just like readings, and then I've had the same meal, and then I've cut out certain foods, mainly the carbs. I think the carbs were causing the major issue. We all know, unfortunately, being type 2 diabetic, that things like sweets and the chocolates and fizzy drinks are sort of out of the way. I can't drink them, or I can't eat them to excess. So over the process of the few months, I've sort of reduced my sugar levels. I'm now pleased to say that I've actually got my sugar levels over the last few weeks very, very good. It's not been an easy time. What with COVID and work and stuff has been an extra thing to it as well. But you know, there's not ever a good time really to sort it out, because I'm coming up to 60 now, so it's a time where if I let it go too far, you know, I don't know what's down the line, and it's time to sort of get it in check.
And what do you think? Obviously, there's been the pandemic, but what do you think's been the toughest thing along the way? Obviously, back in January, you were actually in hospital with this, weren't you?
Yeah, my sugar level rose. I think the early part of that year, 2020, sort of thing.
I was sorry, at the end of 2019, my sugar level started to get high, started to rise. I think that was because I took my foot off the gas. I thought everything was fine. I went through a stage in my head where I sort of had started to resent having to take all the tablets I was on, and then be careful what I was eating and stuff like that, because I felt good. I felt all right. I didn't have a problem with it. And then I found towards the end of that year, leading up to Christmas, I was feeling ill, and I was getting worse and worse. And once again, it was trying to get an appointment to see someone, and it culminated in the fact that I had to sort of have an emergency appointment with my GP, who then subsequently told me I had to go to A&E straight away, and that was on Christmas Eve. And I ended up being in hospital Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. That's when I was put on insulin, the first time I'd ever had to be put on insulin. And as I've said before, my blood sugar levels was virtually off the scale. When I did my tests on my finger prick, it wouldn't even read it. It was too high, which was a shock.
So you come obviously a long way in that time. So you think the most significant discovery is obviously monitoring the sugars more closely. So I mean, Conn, that's probably a good place to bring you in. Just talk to us a bit, Conn, about why Roche wanted to support the project and why it's still so important right now.
Yeah, of course. So Roche has a long history of producing blood glucose monitors, so we know what we're talking about here. But diabetes is different for everyone. Every day is different, and you're managing a range of things. Keeping your blood sugar levels within what you would call a kind of a normal range is how you avoid the complications of diabetes, both in the long term but also in the short term. And within the video, John talks, for example, about experience of blurred vision, which can be an effect of having your blood sugar levels run too high. Also, having started on insulin, people living with type 1 diabetes and many people living with type 2 diabetes are reliant upon insulin to help manage that condition. Of course, you need to as well as avoiding those highs, once using insulin, you need to also be sure to avoid going too low with your blood sugar levels. And it's not a sort of recipe book approach. You can't learn what works and then carry on every day the same. What you eat each day, how you're feeling, how you slept, what exercise you do, it has an impact. And some of those things you can predict. We really encourage the recording of data, whether that's on a scrap of paper or using more modern digital tools. But all you can ever really do is get an idea. You need to equip yourself with the knowledge and education. Now, people living with diabetes have a lot of support from healthcare professionals, but they're only with them for a fraction of the time. We're talking at most 3 or 4 hours a year. Once you add all those appointments together, and that's not enough if you to manage the condition. So people are looking to make do on their own, and that's what we're trying to do, is to provide some basic tools, but also bring people together and show them what can be done if you upskill yourself and take some control.
Sure. I mean that's really what's been happening, I think, with John. John, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know you've been sort of recording your blood sugars in a book, and now you've made a chart on the wall as well to sort of really sort of highlight the different foods and different blood sugar levels.
Yeah. I've done. I've sort of when my sugar levels been high after I've eaten certain foods, I record it, and I've been recording it. Part of the problem was originally was that because I'd sort of been complacent, a bit blasé about the whole thing, because I didn't really understand, to be honest, about it, about the whole thing about diabetes. So when I was a bit blasé, but now I then took into control that I actually recorded everything I do now, I sort of record. I mean, I know as well how I feel. I know when I'm not going into a hypo, but I know when I'm low, and I know when I need to eat food and eat certain foods. So anytime I was above a certain figure, say for instance 10, anytime I was above 10, I actually wrote down what I'd eaten for me to be above that sort of amount, that figure, and then I would analyse what I'd written down, and then I changed something in that meal the next time I had that meal and record it. So I've done quite a lot of the research on it as well. You know, going on the websites and going onto the Roche sites as well, and having a look and seeing about things on there as well, and how they and other like companies do like things, just to get the advice. It's there if you know where to look. Everything is like there, and as I said, you need everything combined. You need help at home. You need help. I'm fortunate, I'm quite a strong-willed sort of bloke, so I've got, I can do these sort of things, and I think it's worked for me. And when you see it written down, and when you see, so when I go now to see a healthcare professional, I bring the information I've got, and I find that helps them so much because it's the facts are there. So you don't have to ask me everything about this and other things. I just say, that's what I've done. By the way, there's a note on item number 3 which says what I ate at the time and when I did my blood sugar, like my testing. So I think that just helps the whole thing, the whole situation, really.
And is that, Con, just to bring you back in there, that's really what we're referring to, I guess, by effective glucose monitoring as opposed to just glucose monitoring. I know with our dad, the only way we really sort of made improvements was, actually doing that. So process of elimination sometimes, and then monitoring sugars before and after different processes and events. And is that what we're talking about in terms of effective monitoring?
Yeah, I think like anything in life, you want to be able to take action or gain insight as a result of the data you're generating, which in this case is your blood sugar level. The testing in pairs that you mentioned is really important, because to take an action, as you mentioned, John, about changing what's in a particular meal, if you don't have the data point of what your blood sugar level was like before that meal, then you can't pinpoint if it was actually what you've just eaten that's had that impact. Similarly, around exercise times or waking up in the mornings and going to bed in the evening, you need to to really kind of get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's what I sort of did. I mean, I can show. I mean, you can't see it because I can just show you quickly if you want an example on the screen of what I recorded. I mean, if you want to see it, it's whether it'll be any use or not, I don't know. I mean, it's here. If you want me to just show it to the screen, and
Yeah. You could show us you can show us quickly. Yeah, go on.
well, it's just really an idea. So from this side here was the readings that I took, and as you said, Ron, from like when I get up to before I have my breakfast, after my breakfast, 2 hours or 2.5 hours after my breakfast, before I have my lunch, 2.5 hours after my lunch, etc. One, as I say, that were higher than I would expect. 10. I've put the number by it, and then I've wrote a note on the other side to say what I'd eaten, etc. And then further down on this side, I've eaten the same meal, but it's all there. It's all there. You can see. So it gives me an idea. It's not the everything. It's just that part of it where I mean, you can. And I've found that yes, I can have a treat when I want a treat. I can have certain things when I have certain things, but I know, like, if I have carbs, say for instance, if I have some bread in the morning, I won't have carbs at lunch. I might have some carbs in the evening with my dinner, but I won't. And if I don't have carbs at breakfast, then I can have a sandwich at lunch because I'm having a bit of carbs at lunch. So it's all about that. It's sort of like just finding out. As I said, there's other things involved in it, obviously, but it's just them things, little things. And as you say, it's testing my blood because, as you said, I can only get a true reflection of the sugar levels if you do it all the time and you do it consistently at the same times, because then you begin to realize how you're working inside, and how things are happening because of what you are doing, and because of the elements that affecting it.
I mean, that methodical approach with recording your numbers by hand is really impressive, and it shows a lot of motivation. Whilst this is probably a kind of exemplary way, we're seeing that people can sometimes believe it has to be all or nothing, when actually, if you are struggling to gain that motivation, testing in pairs on even one occasion will give you an additional level of insight. And I think with type 2 diabetes, that's often something that's hard for people to grasp. I mean, you mentioned before Christmas last year that you'd been a little bit overwhelmed by it, and it can be like that for many people. What we don't have to do is to give up just when we have one bad day. We can go back to it. We can say, actually, I'm going to test again in pairs. I'm going to see what the impact is here, and you do it at your own pace. And that's what I think either a healthcare professional or anyone else who's looking at your data with you can help with. They can help you interpret it and make decisions. There's also sort of more and more apps available where people can snap photos of the meal they've eaten. They can record it, and also some of the modern glucose monitors, they've got either internet or Bluetooth connectivity, so that you can send it both to your own mobile phone. Sometimes it will send it also directly to your doctor's computer and to whatever software they're using, and you kind of ever increasingly improve upon the process. But it all starts with that really simple idea of trying to understand what's happening in your body.
And a lot of people are very, I think, feeling very out of control at the moment with the coronavirus pandemic. So those kinds of measures that give you some control, some ownership, I guess they're really significant at the moment. It's can really make a difference to people. Would you agree with that, John? Do you feel like it's given you some control in this time?
Everything in life, no matter what you do, you need to try and have an achievement by it, to have some good news by it, the result by it, and a boost by it, things. Whether it's anything that you do, and obviously it's no real a difference when you're talking about what we like talking about that now. I've got an issue with my blood sugar levels. I'm concerned that in years to come, I mean, as I said, I'm 69 next year, so all my thoughts are as being around as much as I can for my family and my kids and stuff like that. So obviously, it's given me a boost, because when you see that it was going the wrong way for whatever reason it was, and I appreciate there can be a dip, there can be things that go wrong, spikes and stuff that happen, and they happen for various reasons. But when you then can control it, or you believe you're getting it under control by the effort you're like putting in, it makes you feel as though you're achieving like something, and you're achieving it because you're working at it. In life, as I said, we're blessed in life, and we need a bit of luck in life. Everyone needs a little bit of luck in life, but I think you also earn a little bit of that as well. It's like whether it's taking an exam at school. You know if you've worked at it, if you've revised it and you've worked at it, and you get the rewards at the end, it's what you've worked at. If you fail it and you haven't worked at it and you haven't revised at it, then you sometimes stand back and say, well, I didn't really work for that. So you expect what you get, and that's it. It's about putting something into it. And yes, getting back to your original question, you feel good. You feel good when things are going the right way, because that's life, isn't it?
Oh, that's great. Okay, so generally now, I mean, what sort of advice would you give to other people, perhaps that have just been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, especially during this this pandemic with lockdowns and things? What would be your advice? What could they do to make their lives better?
When you're told that you're pre-diabetic, is to take heed of that, the notice of that. Is to take that seriously, because you can stop it. You can do the changes, hopefully, that you need to stop it. Now, unfortunately, with that is sometimes you don't get the correct help at the start for you to know and to be educated and to be shown exactly what will happen if you do not. You'll be told that. You'll be told that you're pre-diabetic by the readings you have, the blood test, the urine sample comes back, etc., etc. But because of strains and because people are in their lives, as Conn said, you only get a certain amount of time every year with a consultant or a GP. You know, I was told I was pre-diabetic, but I must admit I didn't really understand what it was. I didn't understand at all what it was. I didn't understand that it will affect other organs. I knew about it could affect your eyesight. That's something you generally are told about diabetes, and you hear about people having their feet amputated and stuff like that. I mean, you hear that, but you, there wasn't anywhere to go and sit down and discuss it. So that's my own thing. I've been going about that for a long, long time. It's still up to me at the end. When I was told I was pre-diabetic, I should have stood up. I should have researched it like I have now. I should have researched it then, and quite possibly I wouldn't be here now, sitting here like talking. The real facts I will do, by what the people out there have got in place, there are means to control it. You know, we have got the means now to control it. We've progressed since the old days of diabetes, and I think that's a good thing, and that's, you know, when I felt it, you know, no one wants to have to insulin inject in insulin or take all the tablets I take and stuff like that, and I would advise people, as I said, to take notice of it straight away and try and, you know, stop what you're doing. I've been having like one to ones with my with my consultant, and she has been really good, great for me. Actually explaining it, working out different ways that we've increased the insulin at certain times. When I've not felt well, she's actually gone into the technical side of explaining to me what's happening internally and what she believes is happening and what I need to do. And she's very firm as well. She tells me when she thinks I'm not doing the right stuff. But I'm not. If I that it's about sort of honesty thing as well. You know, we've got to tell these people exactly what's going on. You don't hide anything or tell them that you're not doing things that you are, because it doesn't help them or you. So the one to ones I've been having have really helped educating me into the disease itself, and so I understand it, and also just getting a good vibe that I've got someone there that can actually tell me and give me all the advice that I need.
Brilliant, thank you. And Conn, do you think, would you add to that in terms of, you know, takeaways for the healthcare professionals when it comes to dealing with type 2 diabetes in these kinds of circumstances?
I mean, the pandemic has made clearer than ever how much people are left to their own devices to manage a condition like type 2 diabetes. And however difficult things are, you ultimately manage it better if you are engaged. And that engagement comes to people in different ways. There are different things that will motivate them. I think watching videos like this and seeing what I would call, not to get sort of too political about it, but real people like John getting by, learning along the way, that's what will make the difference. And it's knowing that there are big dividends from every single incremental improvement in your diabetes journey. You know, we hear a lot in the media about the transformational things, people who put their diabetes into remission or lose enormous amounts of weight. But actually, there's so much to be gained and family lives to be improved by just making things that little bit better. And that's what I think the pandemic has probably given us all, actually, a bit more awareness that we just want to get by.
I think that's been what's so sort of humbling about watching John's journey develop is, you you've sort of said, yes, you've seen the blood sugars improve, but you see the family, the impact on the family. Everyone gets closer, and that's all you can ask, really, John. You've had great support there, by the sounds of things.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've had great support. I mean, I'm fortunate again, as I said, to have a loving family. My girls are all at home with me. They're all adults now, and I must admit, though, it ain't been easy. My daughters, every time I go to a certain cupboard in the kitchen, are questioning what I'm going for, what I'm doing, what I'm eating. You should have carbs. Telling my wife not to put that much potatoes on my plate because they've got carbs, and I'm sitting there starving. And I'm going, well, just could you put it on my plate? And they're going, no, you're not having them. You're not having that much. So it's been like, we've had our little times where we've had a few words where I'll come home but it's all in a good way. It's all an effort. It's a team effort. What with the National Health and what with the people that produce all the stuff, and then your family as well. It's not a singular thing. It's a plural thing where everyone is sort of helping.
I think it's admirable what you've done. I think becoming engaged and staying engaged, with a chronic health condition is really tough at the best of times. But the fact that you've done it now is just, it's probably felt impossible at times. But you've done brilliantly, and I think it's so empowering for other people to see and hear that directly from a patient that's been striving to do that. So thank you and well done. And Conn, is there anything else you want to add to that? I mean, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else we'd like to cover.
Well, I think all I'd say is just how much we've enjoyed working both with Fixing Dad and with John, because in industry we go through a lot of kind of hoops in order to make sure that we do talk to people with diabetes and that we try and incorporate your voice into what we're doing. But personally, in my career, it's never been as kind of clear and obvious as in this process. We've all learnt a lot in Roche by watching your journey and seeing you become more engaged in your diabetes and understanding the impact that your life has on your blood sugar levels.
I don't do anything to fail, competitive to a fault, and I wasn't going to sit back and waste the sort of the opportunity when the opportunity arose to just talk to people. I mean, I'm not anything special, I'm just a normal guy who's unfortunately got type 2 diabetes, but you live with it. You live with these like things. You are what you are. You do what you do. But I'd say thank you very much for Ross as well for being involved in this, for bringing this to the attention of everyone else, and thanks for you, guys, for inviting me in. You did say I'd be a film star after this, but I don't know whether that's going to happen or not now. But I'll wait and see for the contract.
It's not happened yet.
I'll wait and see what the contract comes through, but I'll leave it there. But no, I've enjoyed it.
There are a lot of people watching.
I've enjoyed it, and as I said, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Oh, well, thank you. You've been brilliant all the way through, and it's been a pleasure and a real privilege to work with you and the family. And it always is. It's always a very sort of intimate process. So obviously, it is a privilege. You get a real insight, and and then to see other people hopefully inspired by your journey, it's sort of a double whammy, really. So it's been brilliant, and I'm sure we'll get some immediate questions coming in about your journey and about the blood sugar monitoring, and particularly, right now, I think it's probably the most relevant session today in terms of the pandemic as well.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.